Hello, Serge here from the backyard driving range. Have a question that came in, customer service from Jerry Schulman. And Jerry says, I've been following you for over 1 year and it's helped my golf tremendously. However, I still have problems with the forward swing, parentheses, after I get to the top. I'm letting the club drop properly, but I can't help hitting off my back foot most of the time. I just don't feel that I'm striking the ball and moving my body in sync for a solid hit. Can you help? Absolutely, Jerry. You've come to the right place. All right. So Jerry's basically hitting off the back foot. So we call that a reverse weight shifter. All right. Reverse meaning reverse in a car is going backwards, right? And so we could also say reverse is the opposite of forward. And so he's got trouble not going and shifting his weight and going towards the target, which is really the only way that you can really get maximized power. It's pretty tough to punch somebody with a lot of power if you're falling backwards. Heck, you might not even, if you fall too soon and too much, you might not even reach their nose to hit them in the nose. Or the same thing with most any motion you make. If you're falling backwards, like they say, one of the toughest shots in basketball is a fall away jumper. Because you got to make up the difference of how much you're going this way, even though your arm's going that way, your body's going that way, which means your arm's actually going this way as you're trying to make it go forward. So it's a great loss of energy, and it makes a really timing, just about impossible timing in terms of getting everything to go to the target. Okay? So the key is, why are you pushing more off your forward foot backwards rather than off your back foot forwards? All right? And so the question becomes simply, in many cases, we can always start with the big A, alignment. If you're a right-hander aiming out to the right and you're starting to come over the top, the fact that you've had to turn your body more to get back to the aiming line, to get the club moving down the aiming line, that turning like this, anytime you're turning your body really fast, you're tending to push your body backwards. Because as the hips turn and the body turns and this back arm starts to come in here, and if the back arm, as soon as it even gets close to and starts hitting the body, and moving that way, it'll itself, that contact with the body will help pull it backwards. Never mind the fact that the turning motion tends to straighten up the forward leg, and as the forward leg straightens up, that's momentum pushing backwards. So you have to check your alignment. It's pretty hard to be skipping rocks on a lake. If I'm trying to skip to the camera right here, if I'm like this and trying to throw at that camera, say we're skipping rocks, we're counting the number of skips and we're counting and we're looking at how close we can shoot it at a certain target. Well, if my target's back here and I'm skipping rocks this way, you're not going to get a whole lot of skips because having to turn so much to skip the rock is pushing you backwards, which very likely can have you just kind of blooping the rock up in the air and it just comes crashing down in the water and sinks. So number one would be alignment. Number two would be, again, simply put, too much knee action. The knees are kicking down, so if this knee kicks in, and that's one of the biggest things that I see in lessons and in the schools we go to, is how many people think they're keeping their knee quiet. And they say, I know I'm keeping it quiet, but when we look at it on the video, it's still moving like crazy. So the point again is what? They've quieted down possibly significantly, but nowhere near enough. And that's, I think, one of the major things that golfers who have learned the peak performance golf swing and want to learn it and get more and get better at it, that's one of the biggest things. Probably is after alignment would be the knees are still moving too much. Because once that knee moves in too much and goes down, and how many of you work so hard to do that? Once that knee moves, as I said, moves in and goes down, you got a couple of issues. You could be you're reverse tilting. And so if that becomes your action, reverse tilt, what's going to happen? And you've gone downward when you reverse tilt. You've gone downward and forward. You have to come backwards to get the ball. Bingo. So that could be a big issue. And in many cases, let's say you are holding your knees pretty good. I've seen a lot of people hold their knee really good until they get to the end. And it's like they're in a really good limited turn, forward arm over the toe line, club pretty vertical. And they're in a great place, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I need a little bit more power, and then they do it at the end, and then that can either crash them downward a little bit forward, where they get the EBRT, end of back swing reverse tilt. So they're in a great position here, and they go forward, and then now they have to come back, or they could get in here, and when they do that, they collapse back here, and they're almost stuck, and so boom, they're going to go backwards. So in many cases, the knee just moving a little bit too much, never mind a lot too much. And for most of you, you're probably doing a lot less than you used to do, but it's still not enough quiet left knee. It's still not enough outward pressure. That knee should move no more than about 1 inch. And so if it's going more than that, it's just opening this Pandora's box of problems. All right? And so I think in most cases, we can say that we actually build a swing from the ground up. And when your knees are moving too much, it's going to cause everything else to move, and very likely reverse tilt to reverse weight shift, and there's the issue of hitting off the back foot. So alignment and any of these issues where the body and the spine's moving too much, basically caused by overactive knees, your levelers and your stabilizers not being level, that's where all the problems come in. Okay, just remember, think about a rock. If I throw a rock in the lake, when a rock penetrates the lake, the wave goes outward. So the farther the wave gets bigger, the farther away it gets from where it started. So when this knee comes in and starts rocking and rolling, so to speak, even if it's a quiet rock and roll, whatever, where does the wave go? It goes outward. So that means that movement here will eventually have a lot more up here in terms of too much turn, flip-flopping clubs, and the length of the backswing, very likely getting a sacred barrel ground, spine moves, and then everything is whatever action you had, it has to have a reaction coming back. All right? So look at those things and pay attention to the knees. The knees are the bees if you want to be a good consistent hitter. You must keep your knees quiet. All right? Wide knees, outward pressure, the trademark of the peak performance setup, which gives you the peak performance swing. That's it for the Surge for today, and I'll be talking to you all again soon.